I was a practicing chiropractor for 9 years, and over that period of time, I was sort of a yes man when it came to marketing. Pretty much anything that I could try, I did try because my thought process was you don't know if it's going to work if you don't try it. And one of the things I tried over that period of time was using a call center. I was in a BNI group with someone who was part of a call center, and they had convinced me that if I didn't have somebody answering the phone 24 hours a day, that I was missing out on potential new patients. And if I simply had someone answering the phone for me, I would be picking up more new patients and my practice would grow. Now, the concepts seem pretty straightforward. It's like, well, if I'm getting people that are calling, they're getting my message, they're not leaving a message, then, well, maybe that person would have been a new patient. So we went ahead and did the call center. In a relatively short period of time, I realized that this wasn't something that was going to work well for my practice. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm also going to tell you how this relates to AI, how it relates to the technology that we're dealing with today, and give you something to think about to make sure that the technology you're using in your practice is helping your patients and not hurting your practice. So we're going to talk about all that on this episode of the Rocket Chiro podcast. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jerry. I'm a former chiropractor. I help chiropractors now with websites and local search. I help new chiropractors get started, stuck chiropractors get unstuck, and I host this little podcast. If you want me to look at your website and local search, I can help you at rocketchiro.com. You can actually request a website and SEO review. I'll create a custom video just for you, show you exactly what I'm seeing, give you some recommendations, and talk about whether we can work together or not. If you want to go beyond the podcast and you're just getting started as a chiropractor, or you're feeling a little bit stuck and you want a little more help with business and marketing, check out my Next Step program. It's a great way to get some additional content, some additional help, and just sort of get unstuck and lay a good business and marketing foundation to start growing your practice and heading in the direction you want to go. All that can be found at rocketchiro.com. All right, so the problem with the call center was this, is that I had a practice where it was me and one or two staff people. It was a very high touch. Now, a chiropractic is very high touch anyway, but in my sense, like, people were not getting a bunch of different staff when they came into my office. People were not getting a bunch of different doctors when they came into the office. It's just a small number of people, and we knew our patients by name. We knew what was going on with them. They knew us. So when my regular patients called the office and someone answered the phone that they didn't know, there was a little bit of a disconnect. That it was like, who am I talking to? Did I call the right place? Do I have the right number? They didn't want to talk to somebody that they didn't know. They wanted to talk to the person that they wanted to talk to. And I totally understand this. I've been going to my chiropractor for over 20 years now. I know his staff. And when I call, I want to talk to the person that I always talk to. I don't want to talk to some random person, even though I'm just doing something simple like scheduling an appointment or maybe asking a question. So I totally understand that. And so it didn't really work well for our existing patients, but I wasn't doing it for existing patients. I was doing it for new patients. And what I also learned about new patients was if a new patient called the office and had a question, that question was usually going to be specific enough that the call center person really wasn't equipped to answer it. And so what the call center person ended up being was just this person that was an answering machine, and they would take a message. And the weird thing is that the person that called oftentimes didn't know that they were calling a call center. So they were confused as to, like, why isn't this person able to answer this question? Like, why do I have to have somebody call me back? I'm talking to somebody right now. And so there just was this disconnect between my current patients who didn't want to talk to a stranger and my new patients who didn't want to talk to someone who couldn't really help them. And so it just didn't work out. Now, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the call center. I think probably if I had to do it over again, I would want to make sure the person knew they were calling a call center. Now, in a perfect world, I would actually give people the option to leave a message or talk to somebody immediately at the call center, but they would know that this is a third-party person, so that there are limitations with that. That way, if somebody just preferred leaving a message, which if I called an office and they gave me that option, I'll just leave a message. You can call me back. I want to talk to the person I want to talk to. And if somebody wanted to talk to somebody right now and potentially get a problem sorted out, or maybe get some help with something that they weren't really sure about, they could do that. And I think that that would probably be a little better balance than what I did. But with what I was doing, it wasn't working. In hindsight, I think I probably could have modified that a little better. And it just wasn't something that I did very long. It ended up being a negative for the office, not a positive. Now, if we fast forward to today, we live in a world where there's an abundance of technology. There are things like autoresponders. There are things like AI chatbots. There are even AI assistants. Like people can call a phone number and it comes across like this is a real human being that you're talking to, and AI is getting better and better. And so all of these things exist, and they provide this wonderful opportunity for businesses to be more efficient and to get things done that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get done, or it would just take a long time or maybe even cost a lot of money to do. And so technology is awesome. And I'm not at all crapping on technology. I mean, I do websites and local search for chiropractors. I talk to AI probably more than I talk to any human being. So I'm not at all crapping on technology. But I do want to share a principle with you. That principle is this: if the technology you're using in your office is only benefiting you, it's not a positive for you and your patients, I do think it's something you should reconsider. I think that it's something you should either not do or it's something that you should tweak. And so, for instance, I'll give you some thoughts about like the AI thing. And I had somebody recently ask me about this that is a website client of mine, and they were wanting to do a dynamic phone number. Now, this did not come from the client. This came from a third party that told this client it was a good idea, and it was essentially the modern version of the call center thing, where what they wanted is the phone number on the website to change if the hours of if the business was not in operating hours. That's a clunky way of saying that. Basically, what they wanted to do was have a dynamic phone number on the website. So if somebody went to the website and there was actual doctor seeing patients in the office and they could call the office, they would have one phone number. And if somebody else came to the website in the middle of the night and looked, that number would be different, and that number would actually go to a voice AI assistant. Now, there's a couple issues with this. One, the technology does exist. It doesn't actually exist. I can't do it on the website that I do with the platform that I use. It's actually not possible, at least not that I'm aware of. But the other part of it is that I think the thing that we need to be taking into consideration when using technology is, are we being transparent? Because chiropractic is a very relational business, and it's very human touch. Like, people are coming to you. This isn't like selling somebody a washer and dryer. This isn't like selling somebody a car or a house. Somebody is coming to you and they're hurting and they're in pain and they need help. And a lot of these people have gone to other people and they're super frustrated. And you're coming to them and you're offering to help them, but you're also offering to touch them and help them. Like, it's a very, very high touch, intimate business as being a chiropractor. And most chiropractors, not all, there are the franchises and the like maybe less high touch models of chiropractic. But most chiropractic practices have really intimate relationships between the doctor and the patient, the staff and the patients. Like, it's sort of a family thing. This is really, really normal and really common in chiropractic, to the point that if you go out of town as a chiropractor, you know that, like, even if you had somebody come in and fill in for you, a lot of your patients aren't interested in seeing the fill-in doc. A lot of doctors have issues even with bringing in associates, where they start getting so busy that they're like, oh, I'm going to bring in an associate to offload some of this. But then you find out that your patients are so connected to you as an individual that they don't even want somebody else's hands. They're used to your hands. They're used to how you feel when they get adjusted, and that's what they want. That's how chiropractic can ultimately become your prison as a chiropractor, because it's like you're so good at what you do, but you can't get away from it because there's such a connection there between the humans and the doctor. And if you take that into consideration and then you start doing technologies in your office that are a little bit deceptive, even if it's unintentionally deceptive, where someone doesn't know they're talking to a third party call center, they don't know they're talking to AI, they don't know that they're chatting with AI on your website. They don't know that autoresponder sequence that you set up is not an actual person. They don't know that those review requests that you're sending out is not from an actual person. And they respond to it like they're talking to a person. There's something about that that's a little bit deceptive. And so something that I think you should be asking yourself is, do people know they're interacting with your technology? I think it's good to let people know that they are, because that way you can use the technology and you can give people the opportunity to interact with that technology and benefit from that technology, but you're removing the layer of deception. Like, hey, we're going to send out some text. We sent out this email, but it has a no reply email, or it says on there like, hey, don't respond to this. This isn't an email that we monitor. Are you giving people the option of opting into this technology or opting out of the technology? This is really important. For some stuff, it's actually mandatory. If you're using like a system, like a legit system to send out emails or texts, all of those should have some way of opting out of them, like stop getting these texts, or click here to unsubscribe in your emails. All of those things should exist. They're actually required in a lot of cases. And if you try to hide those things, I think you're just being deceptive, and you're just undermining the patient relationship. I don't think you should be doing that. So something I would encourage you to do is, as you look at your technologies, if you listen to this podcast and look at your technologies, ask the questions: are we being transparent? Do people know that they're operating and working with technology? And is this technology beneficial to them and to us? I think that's a really great question. The other thing that you should evaluate when you're looking at this is you should be asking about frequency. Is the frequency at which we are using this technology helpful? Now, for something like an AI phone number where someone's calling it, or something like a chatbot, the frequency doesn't really play into this because people have to sort of opt into using them. You have to actually call the number to talk to the AI assistant. You have to actually use the chatbot to talk to the chatbot. Like there's not really an opting in or opting out of that, or frequency. But when it comes to something like appointment reminders, something like a review request, something like a follow-up if somebody misses an appointment, or maybe they haven't been in a while, where you're checking in with them. These things have a frequency to them. I've talked to some chiropractors that are using like the Review Wave Aloha system, and they're pretty much asking for reviews every single time a person comes into the chiropractor's office. Now, for someone like me that doesn't actually go to the chiropractor nearly as frequently as like a new patient would, that's like, okay, it's fine, I guess. But even that's annoying. Like if every single time I went to the dentist, even though I go, it's like, what is that? Once or twice a year? For me, once or twice every 7 years. Don't do what I do. It's not good. But if I got a text every single time I went to the dentist, that would be annoying. Like my dentist is actually the worst about this, where I actually told them, if you don't stop texting me, I'm not going to come in anymore. Like I'm perfectly happy with the doctor. I'm perfectly happy with the staff, with the insurance, the payment, like all of that stuff. It's perfectly fine. I have no issues with anything about the practice, other than they freaking text me all the time. Like appointment reminders, and don't miss your appointment, and just making sure you know your appointment. And I get it. They probably have people that don't show up. I'm not that guy. And so if you're going to text me like that, this is not a benefit to you and me. This is only a benefit to you, and it's really annoying to me. And you need to put yourself in the patient's perspective. If you were getting a review request every single time you went to the chiropractor's office, would that be good? I mean, I would say the answer is probably no. If you're getting like 15 autoresponders after someone signs up for your newsletter on your website, or signs up for some newsletter or something that you did, and then you get 15 autoresponders in like a 2-week period of time, is that a little too much? In spite of what Gary Vee may say, like, because there's a difference between a human experience with technology and just technology from a funnel standpoint. If you're doing mass marketing, like you're marketing to thousands and thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people, it's purely a numbers game. It doesn't matter if you just piss off a bunch of people because you sent too many texts or you sent too many emails. You just bug them. It's the Dan Kennedy approach. It's just you mail and mail and mail and mail and mail and mail and mail, and you send until they unsubscribe, they buy, or they die. Like that's the marketing approach. But you're a chiropractor. Like this whole thing is about your relationship with your people. You're not a marketer in the same way as somebody selling like info products or someone selling anything else. This is a high touch human experience, and you have to use technology appropriately. And so you can't listen to these people like Gary Vee or Dan Kennedy or Ben Altadonna or whatever. And you listen to these people that are telling you like this sort of like generic marketing way of approaching people when you're dealing with millions and millions of people. Chiropractors aren't dealing with millions and millions of people. You're dealing with a few hundred. maybe 1,000, maybe a couple thousand at the most. It's not a lot of people. And so going in there and just saying, some will, some won't, so what's like, let's just blast them all until they leave a review or unsubscribe. You're hurting the relationship. And I've seen many, many, many times where chiropractors have done such a bad job of putting a governor, putting I don't know what the word would be, like putting a noose on their outreach when a patient misses an appointment or a patient hasn't been in a while, that person who left, who really loves the chiropractor because they really helped them, like they left early because like, hey, this chiropractor helped me. I'm feeling great. They said it was going to take 3 months. It only took 3 days. I feel great. Now we could argue whether they're right or wrong, but when that person left, they were happy and they thought you were the greatest chiropractor in the world. But then your staff and your automation and all of this stuff like sent them like 35 different messages trying to get them back into the office. That person went from a raving fan to like, I will never go to that chiropractor again because they just will not leave me alone. Now, obviously that's the extreme situation, but if you're not aware of what your technology is doing, it could in fact be hurting the relationship and not helping it. So the two things you really need to be looking at when it comes to your technology, and it comes back to our principle here, which is this technology beneficial for both of us? Do we both win? And the way you figure that out is you have to just look at, am I being transparent and clear about what we're doing here? And is the frequency something that makes sense? If you were a patient, if you were a customer, if you were on the other side of it, would this be an acceptable amount? And I know that's not the only gauge. It's not good to say if I can tolerate it, you can tolerate it. So maybe it's good to ask around. But don't ask the peanut gallery. Don't ask the people that are going to just say whatever you want them to say and the yes people in your life. Really figure it out. And there isn't an answer to this. Some people are going to reach out a little bit more. Some people are going to reach out a little less. If you reach out too much, you are going to upset people. If you reach out too little, it's sort of an abandonment thing. It's sort of like you didn't care enough to reach out. It's sort of irresponsible. So somewhere in there, the technology is really helpful and beneficial, and you're going to have to figure that out for your practice. But if you're not even considering the patient's perspective, you're playing a dangerous game. And that game is theoretically beneficial to you, but if you piss off your patients, you're not winning either. So it's something to consider. So here's a thought. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Just because the technology exists to finagle your phone number or force someone to talk to AI doesn't mean you should. Use technology wisely. Use it in the context of your chiropractic practice to do the thing that you want to do, which is maintain the doctor-patient relationship for the extended period of time, for as long as this person is in your area and they are alive. You're their chiropractor. They come to you when they need a chiropractor, and that they have a great relationship with you and a great experience with your practice. And your technology should help that, not hurt it. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing the podcast. If you'd like to leave a review, you can do it on Apple Podcasts. You can do it on Google as well. There's a link to our Google profile in the footer of rocketchiro.com. If you'd like to work with me, you'd want to talk more about doing that, you can reach out to me through Rocket Chiro. If you'd like me to look at your website and SEO, just ask for me to do a review. I'd be happy to send you a review, give you my 2 cents. I'm done. I'm out of here, guys. I'll talk to you in the next episode.